Hey everybody, Ron Burke from Gaming Trend here with Mark and Gary here to talk about 2 Point Hospital, but we're also going to talk a little bit about kind of the history of some gaming. So if you guys would go ahead and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the game.
Yeah, I'm Mark Webley. I'm one of the founders of 2 Point Studio. My role is game director, I'd say.
Okay, I'm Gary Carr. I'm also a founder of 2 Point Studios, and I'll make up a title as well. My title is creative director. That'll do.
Awesome. And I'm Ron Burke. I am Lord of the Dance. No, if we're making up titles. So, 2 Point Hospital, 2 Point Studios is kind of got a bit of history. That name itself. You guys have a history that goes back quite a ways. Run folks through kind of your resume.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you were.
I'm not the oldest, but I'm the oldest doing it.
Yeah.
I started in 1985. Back on the 8-bit scene, Commodore 64. Made a game called Barbarian, I think it was called for the US audience. Death Sword in America, where you chopped off. It was kind of a Conan the Barbarian game where you chopped heads off, a combat game. Then I joined Bullfrog in '89 and started on a game called Populous. Made those early Bullfrog games such as Powermonger, Populous, and then you joined round about then.
Yeah, Populous 2 it just came out.
Yeah,
and
Populous 2 time.
I joined. In fact, it was quite cool. I'd seen a poster, an EA poster of all these EA games, and then there's one in the middle, and I said, "What's that? That looks incredible!" And it was Populous, and then later on, I managed to get a job there, and so I joined, and basically worked on Pop 2, putting it onto a number of different platforms. Yeah. So I mean, then wind forward a bit.
So we made Theme Park, which I started working on, and then I actually didn't finish the game. I left Bullfrog. I didn't think it was going to be very good, so I left. I was completely wrong, of course.
Yeah.
Came back and then started working closely with Mark as we were the creative team which made Theme Hospital.
After Theme Hospital, I went off, co-founded Lionhead Studios with Peter Molyneux and Tim Rance. You went off and did your own thing with Mucky Foot.
Yeah, not quite as successful as you. But there you go.
Did a lot more games. And so we again worked together back at Lionhead after Gary's stint at Mucky Foot, and then we worked on a game called The Movies, a little game about managing little people in a movie studio, and then Fable came.
Fable took over and became all consuming, but we've always wanted to go back to these little
we'd always
games.
talked about this, so kind of 2 Point Studios was a chance to kind of do that, and we managed to bring together a really amazing team that we're beyond our wildest dreams. I don't think we'd have imagined we'd be able to get this group of people together. So amazing team and an opportunity to actually revisit these little people games that we've loved making and loved playing.
So if you'll forgive the impertinence a little bit, I think you guys have been well ahead of your time every time. Papal Magnets in Populous all the way to the movies. That game, if it were released now, would have a very different audience. This is kind of generation creation, right?
We're a bit early with that one.
You're a bit early, right?
Yeah, and definitely. We were talking about that earlier.
That's another game that could use a reboot because it's a very different environment that we're in. But I think it's a great tie-in to what you're doing now. This is a great reboot. Obviously, it's not a direct reboot of Theme Hospital, but carries a lot of the same elements. Patience, please be patient. Did you get the same voice actress? She sounds a lot like her.
Well, we've said no, it's not, but we haven't said who it is.
No, we haven't. I don't.
But it's a different person.
Very, very close, though.
Yeah, very close. And we've tried to be sort of certain things. I think we wouldn't want to deviate too far from, but it's definitely not a reboot in the sense that, especially when you get to play further into the game, there are elements that are recognisable, obviously, to a game we made 20 years ago, but the more you play the game, the more it breaks away and becomes its own thing. I think.
Yeah, there's some different departments. I think the receptionist, the staff types, we've kind of done a lot more with the personalities of the individuals, having personality traits and things that they react to, making them react differently, patients and staff. And we wanted people to care more about certainly the staff and the patients. You didn't want them to die, but particularly the staff, when you put a lot of effort into them rather than just going, right, they want a pay rise, I'm going to fire them. Yeah. So it's just a lot of love, and I think we aimed really high, and we got somewhere there.
Somewhere towards it. I think you're right. We didn't really, in the original theme games, care too much about the people in the world. They were commodities to sort of kind of exploit for cash, and we kind of wanted to try and make you care a lot more about the little people that come into this world. So giving them personalities and traits, and actually have them react very differently in different situations. And there's a lot of situations I think I see them for the first time every single day I'm working on the game, because I've never had a situation where someone's been buzzing on caffeine while seeing a ghost, while someone else is quite argumentative.
As well.
And there's all these different combinations which make them react differently. So it's just a really exciting project for that. So it definitely has moved on, and also setting it in a world rather than just being a level-based game. Actually making that world rich and have a backstory makes it very different.
Yeah, and the ability to, because we're not dealing just with an individual hospital, finished it, moving on. We're kind of building your healthcare foundation, the ability to kind of move on when you want to, and then maybe come back at some point. All your hospitals are there, and you can carry on. You may have sort of unlocked some cool, interesting stuff later on. And you think, I'm going to go back and
take that
knowledge
back to an earlier hospital.
So
the original game did feel very linear, and it did feel like it just got progressively more difficult and more challenging. And we want the challenge to be there to unlock more cool things, but
we don't want it to be a brick wall.
And those people who are core gamers should definitely get to exploit and explore as much as they want to do without feeling their experience is being hampered.
Yeah.
So I think it works on two levels quite nicely.
Yeah, I carried that same opinion. It felt like I wasn't quite done with this hospital, but I'm getting this offer. It's time to move on. I'm going to go start a new hospital. Yeah. So I always felt like this kind of abrupt end to this work that I just did. So.
And we are going to, refresh challenges in old hospitals. So if you go back, it's not just some save game where it's just stuck where it was. New things can happen if new things get seeded in the world. So, it shouldn't feel like you're just going back to grind on an old level to sort of unlock another star. It should feel like it's another day. It's a new day with a new opportunity to play a different challenge.
So walk me through a little bit of the traits. I saw some small examples of that in the demo so far, but can you give me some depth on that?
Yeah, well, the traits, there's some good ones and there's some negative ones.
Smells like cabbage.
That's possibly not a trait. That's a bit of flavour text, just a bit of personality.
Well, you do have unhygienic people, which is a trait. Yeah,
that's an interesting one where you've, you might have a dilemma where there's a surgeon who's
awesome.
5-star, he's actually brilliant as a surgeon, but he's unhygienic because he doesn't wash his hands. So, I mean,
what do you
the knock-on effects could actually be quite disastrous.
You might get away with lots of excellent work for a long period of time, but if he doesn't wash his hands all the time, there's going to be an accident sooner or later. So it's those kind of things as well, and also the ability to sort of train people is interesting with traits, because you kind of want to sort of make your staff better, so improve them is important. So you want to see visual kind of, if someone's impatient or someone's lazy or somebody just doesn't turn up to work on time, how do I improve that? What do we do?
Send them on a course.
Yeah, send them on a course.
As opposed to a theme hospital where it's more about, I'm going to put this guy in a room with a guy who has a skill, so they both have this skill.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah. But we've gone a lot further. So I think the traits,
a bit less
the qualifications. There's certainly things like you need psychiatry to be a psychiatrist. You need surgery qualification to become a surgeon. But there's a lot of other personality modifiers that you can teach people, and better people skills. You've got to. The game is you're making sure patients don't get fed up, unhappy, and leave before you've kind of got as much money out of them. And so you want your staff to all be have nice, beautiful personality traits. So you might in fact take a junior doctor who you know you probably wouldn't want him doing surgery, but you could train him up and get his XP up, promote him over time. So that investment in the staff and actually getting like really cool group of doctors and nurses and janitors and assistants is part of the objective.
Yeah, I think also we wanted to. We were, even when we made Theme Hospital back in 1995 to 7. We were limited by a small team, what the PC was capable of doing back then. So we wanted to make our staff types a bit more realistic in what kind of roles and responsibilities they have. So it was a little bit sexist just to make all the nurses female. It's a little bit sexist to have
and they were all
the
stuck in the ward.
assistants.
They couldn't go in the GP.
That wasn't because of sexism. It was because we had to get the game formatted.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
We
just didn't have the ability to put both male and female roles in the game. We just had to take a pick.
A different head.
Yeah. So we're given the staff roles are much broader now. Nurses take care more than just the wards and the pharmacies. They also do some of the procedures. They're surgeons. They're anaesthetists. They're also things like they use general diagnosis rooms, and they use some of the other treatment rooms to perform X-rays and radiography and that kind of thing. So we're trying to make the roles far more deep and broader than they were originally. And assistants don't just run reception. Later on, they do things like they run things like the cafeterias, shops, marketing departments.
Which is a completely new.
So there's plenty going on there, which I think moves it away from anything we were doing 20 years ago. So yeah.
I know there's a lot of mechanics that are new too. The ability to rotate the camera and move it in, tilt it, pan it. I'm sure that was a new challenge.
We put an extra dimension into it, yeah. I mean, the original game, one more D. Yeah. The original game, as you know, was a two-dimensional game, fixed camera. You could
isometric,
have
kind of
isometric. Yeah. We've got the ability to tilt the camera, rotate the camera, so you can build on all four sides of the building now, rather than just the two you could see.
Which really just creates problems as a developer.
Yeah.
It's small stuff you've got to teach somebody. Because isometric's kind of lovely because it's that's the view.
Yeah. What you can see is what you need to work on.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is interesting because I'll point back here. The art style is we wanted to make something. That people can often point the camera and I was watching you guys play earlier, and some people are playing it much higher up. Some people are closer in on the action. So we needed an art style which I feel worked with the 3D nature of the game and the ability that the camera has to be in all sorts of different height positions. So we've gone for a very clean, simple shapes. Mark describes it as the sum of its parts. It's almost a mosaic rather than, it's not like we're crafting levels that are already there. So our shapes need to be clean and easily readable.
You potentially have a couple of hundred people moving around. You sort of pull out the camera. You still want to see them, to see what's going on.
I want the guy with the hat. Where's the guy with the hat and the shorts and the huge cool beard? So we've got a lot of personality and a lot of variation, but we've kept the style quite clean and simple, which kind of makes it look a little bit retrospective. But I like that. I think it
holds up really well.
Yeah,
even up close.
Cool.
One of the things that I did like, one of the pain points in Theme Hospital was if I wanted to restructure a room or I wanted to add a room, you had to take the room apart.
Good point.
Start again, really.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things. I mean, I don't suppose that everyone would have got to that feature, but you literally had to almost like recreate the room up and start again. We've tried to give we want the game to keep flowing, even if you're doing some restructuring of your hospital expansion or you're just rejigging rooms. So you can pick rooms up and they stay looking like the room. You can move it across the hospital. You can rotate it. You can place it, and you can add different shapes onto it and make it any shape you want.
Particularly useful as a game beyond the first level. You might have different plots that you kind of expand. You buy the next plot, and you might think, I'm going to make this a diagnosis wing and put the GPs and diagnosis rooms over there, and maybe a training wing. So it's kind of useful to not have to start again, because although that's part of the game and kind of part of the joy of creating something of your own. It's, you know, the challenge is there's so many plates to spin that, you know, you kind of want to be able to move stuff around and then go, right, where are all those patients that still need curing? Yeah.
So I ended up with two fun questions. One, can I still get awards for selling the most soda? And two, run us through some of your favorite diagnoses, some of your favorite new patient afflictions, if you will.
Yeah, well, one of my favourites is, and it's one that it's one of my favourites because I didn't think it was going to be a good idea, and in fact, Mark Smart and Gary sort of came up with the idea of the Emperor's New Clothes, and I was thinking that's, you know, basically somebody that's naked and just pixelated out. And I was thinking that's a really cheap gag, and I kind of did like it, but then put it in. Chris started doing some animations and people limbering up and then stretching.
Well, they just do these things which they just seem to sort of bend over and pick things off the floor more often. But the pixelation's quite cute. I mean, they look quite cute. And they wear things like dicky bows and ties stuff. They think they're dressed.
But also, everyone else going, ooh!
And their reactions make it work. That's like you said, just yawning in front of people. Now that is a good one. Which would be my pick? I do like that one. That's a funny one. I like monobrow.
Oh, that's cool.
I've not seen that one yet.
Cool. I haven't seen that one yet, but there's it's cool.
It's very cool. Something very interesting happens with monobrow.
Well, you remember the rat shoot?
That's all we should say, really.
Well,
we'll leave it at that.
Brows, they fall off.
They do fall off a little bit. So anyway, that's a good one. But there was going to be, that's to tee it back to your original point. We are going to bury lots of lovely Easter eggy things in the game anyway. So just wait and see what we've done.
Outstanding.
We've already said too much about monobrows. I think it's only one brow. I mean, what can go wrong? PR person.
All right, so 2018, can you narrow it down any further than that? It's a pretty big year.
I was going to say, just for giggles, I was going to say May, just for a laugh, just to get you irritated. No, it's not May. It's later in the year.
We're saying autumn, aren't we?
You can say autumn.
Yeah, I can say autumn.
Or fall.
Exactly. But I can't say anything that is. I can't lie.
Now we're going to wrap it up, guys. It's time.
Outstanding. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.